So, since I finished the last part that I'm going to do on the topic points of the specific books, unless I feel there are specific things I need to clarify any further, I felt like going through a couple different things. So, in reference to the Medal of Honor, for those of you who do not know, on 9 December 1861, the Iowa Senator James W. Grimes introduced Bill 82 to promote efficiency of the Navy. What's funny about that is my first neurologist was Major Grimes, and my son is named James. And Iowa is where Captain Cupcake's from. And I was born in 1982. On 21 December 1861, that bill passed in the Senate. The irony of that is my dead ex-husband and I actually got legally married at that time. That was a horrible, horrible situation. I got lost, surprise to no one, on the way to the Justice of the Peace. I wound up at Kelly Air Force Base, had to return back, and then went to the Justice of the Peace. There was a discussion outside before the actual ceremony. And during that particular event, I was asked repeatedly by the judge, "Are you sure you did this?" So anyway, it's kind of weird, huh? Then on 17 February 1862, the Massachusetts Senator Henry Wilson introduced a similar bill for the Army by the president at that time. Then President Lincoln signed the bill into all the branches. Again, the Senate Bill being 82. On 12 July 1862. If I'm not mistaken, is that 7 or 8 days from the 4th of July? And irony, I wrote 8 books at first. 13 February 1861, the Army Assistant Surgeon Bernard D. Irwin rescued 60 soldiers of the 2nd Base Comms Unit at Arizona Pass, where the Apaches were, but it wasn't presented until 1894. Irony of ironies. There was that time in Arizona after being taken out of state of Texas. 24 May 1861, Private Francis Edwin Brownell of the First Civil War action had been asked if wanting to be, or the process to go up to award that Civil War Medal of Honor recipient, Medal of Honor. On 26 June 1861, on the USS, or now USNS, Pawnee John Williams, I did show that Williams Medal of Honor, of the First Navy, awarded. 21 July 1861 is when Dr. Mary Edwards Walker earned the Medal of Honor, having been in 3 major battles, including her work in the Battle of Bull Run. She is the only Medal of Honor recipient, not just of the Civil War, but up until this point in time, I think it's what day? the 17th of March, 2020. She is the first and only Medal of Honor recipient up until that point in time. She was held in a Confederate POW camp for 3 months. Then in 1876, because so many awards after the Little Bighorn ambush, a committee began to review and maintain the new standard for the Medal of Honor award to be earned. On 23 April 1890, the Medal of Honor Legion was established. 5 February 1917, Buffalo Bill and Dr. Mary Edwards Walker lost their right to claim the Medal of Honor. However, it was reassigned through President Jimmy Carter. Irony of ironies, Jimmy is what? A nickname for the name James. Just throwing that out there. 1946, the Medal of Honor Historical Society had formed. An irony of irony, if you do the spiritual numerical aspect, that equals 9/11. 26 July 1947 is when the United States of America's Air Force was created, and on 26 July 1950, Louis Sibyl is the first Medal of Honor recipient awarded the Medal of Honor for that. 21 June 2000, President Clinton awarded 22 Medal of Honor awards to Asian veterans previously denied. Unfortunately, most were posthumously awarded. However, at least they were recognized for their work and earned their Medal of Honor for what they had done. 18 March 2014, President Barack Obama presented 24 awards of the Medal of Honor to various Hispanic and Jewish that had been denied the Medal of Honor prior. So I'm going to go into a little bit of other history. For the Army, 14 June 1775 is the Second Continental Congress, which was formed for the Continental Army for the 13 colonies to fight Britain. Though most people think that 1776 is the year, and I had been questioned in reference to certain things in the church that I grew up going to, Old Tenet Presbyterian Church, that would be some history. The General Army Republic was originally nicknamed Dogface and Ground Pounders. Irony, New Jersey has the New Jersey Devil. And then the Marine Corps has the nickname what? Devil Doe. You devil booby does. I mean, don't mistake my nickname for that, for devil. Because, yeah, they will pound the ground and do some damage. I'll just leave it at that. Then there's the Navy, which was established during the Revolutionary War, 13 October 1775. The Marine Corps was established 10 November 1775. And, and then there's the Air Force, which were established on 1 August 1907, though officially in 1947 is when they were officially established. And then there's the Coast Guard, which was established 28 January 1915. The irony, my dead ex-husband, the cherubim's spiritual husband, was declared DOA on 28 January. Irony of ironies, another one. 1915, 151 temper tantrum rules. And so one of the sayings for the Coast Guard is take care of our people and the mission will take care of itself. So a few of my personal favorites that I found as far as different Medal of Honor recipients from the different states. Not say that I don't care about any of the other ones, just their stories were just... So there's Orville Emil Bloch, who was a first lieutenant, General Order, I guess, number 9, 10 February 1945. He wiped out 5 enemy machine gun nests. One nest he attacked, disarmed, and captured 5 enemies by himself. Then he also pulled a pin from a grenade to attack a second nest, all by himself, threw live fire, ran 15 yards, got 20 feet from the second nest before he threw the grenade, and absolutely destroyed their automatic machine gun and wounded 3 to chase the other 3 because, you know, he was that of a... And single-handedly on his own captured 19 POWs in total, wounded 6, and eliminated, again, a total of 5 machine gun nests. Then there's Albanese Lewis. He was a PFC in Vietnam. General Order number, I guess is what GO stands for, 12. He heard gunfire and went to save his men from the left flank, moved to deter fire, allowing the platoon movement. By himself, advanced 100 meters, that's 300 feet, irony, along the trench and killed 6 enemy snipers with automatic weapons, advancing to kill 2 more in hand-to-hand combat before the mortal wounds, but he saved his comrades in arms in combat. And again, irony of ironies, left. Who's the what? That's right. So then there's Robert Eugene Bush. He was a medical corpsman in and a hospital apprentice first class. Under artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire, he repeatedly went to tend to one of the wounded soldiers after another by himself. Then, when the Japanese launched counterattacks, he continued to give blood and plasma to the different Marine officers and fired pistols while still giving plasma and killing 6 despite his own wounds and loss of an eye, saving people. And he refused medical treatment until the Marines have been evacuated. Then there's Jesse R. Drowley, Staff Sergeant, General Order number 73. When he was ordered to remain under cover, he saw 3 injured soldiers on the attack against the United States of America as the enemy, and then he ran to assist his fellow soldiers in arms. Then he found enemy pillboxes that were creating havoc and casualties, ordered the males to follow him. They exchanged rifle fire, got to the enemy machine gun on the tank, signaled to the other soldiers to continue firing, dismantled the pillbox, lost an eye, shot in the chest, and then he on his own was like, yep, all right, I guess I'll go get some medical attention. I guess. Then there's Bruce Allen Grandstaff, a platoon sergeant from Vietnam. After the platoon was ambushed on 3 sides, he ran ahead 30 meters and was able to save 1 male's life but he was unable to get out in time, so he readjusted the artillery fire to mark the helicopter spot with smoke grenades, and he fired tracer rounds to get the helicopter's attention to help the fellow soldiers on the ground, while calling direct strikes in to kill the enemy and stop three-sided assaults for future troop movements by himself. Then there's Robert Ronald Licey. He was a second lieutenant in Vietnam. He shielded the radio operator during an enemy attack. Then he calmly ordered the advance and refused his treatment until his soldiers were helped. Okay, field operator, you make that phone call. It's cool. I got you. Then there's Joe E. Mann, a PFC during World War II. I might have misnumbered on the numbers, but he was surrounded on a bridge, and he was able to creep to get the rocket launcher towards the enemy artillery, had an face-to-face enemy fire, destroyed and obliterated their 88 millimeter gun. I think that's it. With ammunition, and dumps that. Then overnight and through other unsuccessful enemy attacks, and he had injuries from previous hand-to-hand combat, a grenade landed, and though he was unable to throw the grenade, he threw his injured body to save the other soldiers. While he yelled grenade, he jumped on top of it and was like, get to safety. Then there was Douglas Albert Monroe, Signal First Class, World War II, in charge of the 24 Higgins boats being used to evacuate the battalion of Marines trapped by enemy at that time, the Japanese. He saw the attack personally, led 3 boats to shore, and signaled to the males, and took 2 boats to deter the enemy fire by taking 2 firearms. And when the evacuation was almost complete, he drew the enemy fire towards him to save the other 3 boats full of all the Marines that he saved. Then there's William K. Nakamura, who was a PFC, and when he was pinned by an enemy machine gun fire from the concealed position and under his own initiative, crawled 20 yards, or 3 times 20, that's 60, to enemy's nest, and when 15 yards, okay, that's, I can't do, but 3 times 15, from the enemy, threw 4 grenades and crawled back to the platoon. And when he returned, another enemy attack, which from his position was able to accurately kill the enemy machine gunners without any further casualties. And towards the end of the fire, he gave his life for all of the others to be saved. Then got Jack J. Pendleton, Staff Sergeant, GO, or General Order, 24 from World War II. I don't understand how the numbers do that, but during advanced platoon, had met by a nest of enemy machine guns, all by himself, took a long machine gun, leading ahead of the males. Though he was hit, he continued to advance to clear a way for safe passage of the platoon by diverting the enemy fire to him, saving thousands. Martin G. Shields, a construction mechanic Seabee in Vietnam, 3rd class, already wounded and continued to resupply the Americans on his side with the ammunition to return enemy fire for 3 hours. Then the enemy used flamethrowers, hand grenades, and small arms fire. And though he was wounded the 2nd time in the attack, he helped carry the injured to safety to get more ammunition for 4 more hours. You cherubim ones and whiny little that want to complain, you ain't. And then when command needed someone to volunteer to help him take out the enemy, he went after the machine gun to endanger their soldiers, meaning the enemy soldiers, from the accuracy that Marvin G. Shields had, because he was that good, as he volunteered using 3.5 rocket launcher, or at 3.5 millimeter, I guess, rocket launchers to successfully destroy the enemy's machine gun, and upon the return, he was mortally wounded. But, irony of irony, 3.5, 35. And those are just the guys from Washington State. That's just those guys. So, not say that I don't care about the other ones. Of course I do. Of course I do. But those were the ones that I was like, oh, and then there was also Hawk. And that guy, he wound up like being ambushed. The people he was supposed to meet with got ambushed. And because he wound up capturing 500 enemy soldiers of the enemy, of course, the Nazi side during World War II, to encircle all of them and take them back to the United States of America's POW camp. That's right, he did that. So you guys have a good one. Those are just a few of my favorites.